Welcome back. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the great debate. Can I firstly ask you, how many of you have been to an Oxford Union-style debate before? If you have, please raise your hands. Okay? If you've seen it on TV, raise your hands. Okay, a few more people have done that. What happens is this. We have two people debating one motion. One speaker will speak for 4 minutes in favor of the motion. Another speaker will speak for 4 minutes against the motion. They then have 5 minutes where they can cross-examine each other. Then you will have an opportunity to make points yourselves for or against the motion and to ask the speakers questions if you wish to do that for up to 10 minutes. Then they'll have 3 minutes each to summarize their debate, and immediately after that we'll take a vote to see whether the motion has been won or not. Now, our first theme is going to be on retail. We're talking about how the disruptors are versus the disruptors. We're going to be talking about the future of retail is stores that aren't stores. Before we do that, we're going to do 2 quick votes on the iPad. So can we take the first question, please? So, retail stores have a positive future, that should be. If you think they do have a positive future, if you agree, vote 1. If you disagree, vote 2. Please vote now. Okay, 74% think they do have a positive future. 26% think they don't. Can we have question 2, please? Physical retail will only work in locations that also offer other functions. 1 agree, 2 disagree. Please vote now. Okay, 83% of you agree with that. So, thank you very much. We'll take our final vote after the debate. So let me now introduce the contestants in this great debate. In the red corner, Mr. Chris Wu. He's the Managing Director for Investment and Development at the Chongbang Group. In the blue corner, Ms. Deborah Weinswig, Managing Director for the Fung Global Retail and Technology Group. Please welcome the contestants. There's only one thing I have to tell you. We have given them a time limit on how much they can speak for, and the chairman's decision is final, and you can see that because I've got this. Which means if they speak over the allotted amount of time, I have to cut them off by pressing that. So, 4 minutes each to set the agenda. The title of the debate is Retail. The future of retail is stores that are not stores. To begin the debate, please welcome Mr. Chris Wu.
So, good morning. Thank you, Greg. Cover of Time magazine, 20 years ago. The prediction, Jerry's going to eat your lunch. As landlords, we love our footfall pictures of crowded malls. But there's another side to this photo, one of inconvenience. Customer pain points of car parking. Well, technology can help. Lining up for Lady M cake. Actually, technology can help there as well, because Lady M actually has a pre-order and pickup app, as well as Ele.me will deliver to you within 30 minutes in Shanghai. But not all technology can help. Technology can't help with this, lining up for the loo. Okay? So, now compare all of this with shopping at home online. We're all short of time. Short of time to visit stores, to look around for sizes, colors, models, variety, checking out other stores, checking out for discounts and promotions. So, actually, if you look at this carefully, it's quite a tactical price, value, benefit buying decision, right? Let's break it down further. we still have store opening hours in the physical store. But the initial purchase can either, the initial purchase motive can either come from online or offline and end up offline or online, or vice versa. Very often, the pricing is exactly the same. And in fact, for technology is helping to serve customers and also for clienting. Data analysis and AI is helping frontline staff in physical stores to enhance customer experience by empowering those staff with devices that will give the staff data on the customer as well as the product. But still, on the online platforms, very often, there are still too many choices, and very often, very difficult to navigate. But the good thing is, you can do it at home, in your bed, on your mobile. But you're always alone. And you have to wait. And wait. And wait. So whilst we're waiting, I'll just quickly recap. Online over here, offline over here. Tactical price value decision. I choose to have an experience. Leisurely, entertaining, family time. Short on time, I log on, I buy it and get it done. Longer dwelling times, I choose to hang around in an environment that I like. Shopping is the main goal. Shopping is actually a byproduct. I probably bought something as out of impulse, right? Lastly, I have to wait. I get instant gratification. I get my goods right there and then, physically. However, it's not all black and white. The offline and online are very much merged. In 2013, this was Jack Ma in 2013, Alibaba predicted that in 5 years' time, e-commerce will take 1/3 of all retail sales in China. Last year, that was 19%. In 2016, Jack presented an integrated online and offline strategy in their shareholders' letter, in Alibaba's shareholder letter. Just a point to note that Hema, which we talked about, the fresh market, Alibaba's first venture into the offline environment, was in January 2016, and was at Life Hub at Jingqiao. So going forward, is Jack going to eat your lunch? Thank you.
Thank you. So, Chris, you did very well, but you took 5 minutes and 19 seconds, so we're going to give the same amount of time to Deborah, just so that it's clear. Chris, your main argument was Jack's not actually going to eat your lunch. Jack's going to be sitting at the table next to you, by the looks of things. So, Deborah, over to you. The future of retail is stores that aren't stores. What do you think?
So we're going to go through 5 key points. So 1 in 5 department stores will have closed by the year 2023. So here's the chart for that. Shoppers will be directing a further $78 billion in spending from retail to services, which actually goes to the audience point that physical retail will only work if we offer other functions in malls or where people shop. Customers will buy $73 billion more worth of apparel online. And we're seeing many technologies that support this that will also help us reduce returns, which I believe are one of the top issues retailers face right now. Millennials will control $5 trillion of consumer spending. So let's think about how that will further change retailers. Retail as a service will peel away $17 billion from traditional retail channels. I myself am a very big proponent of subscriptions and rentals. So let's quickly talk about the retail outlook. We've seen significant retail M&A activity. This has allowed retailers to continue to change their look. Macy's bought Story. Rachel Shechtman took one store and continued to let us think differently about retail. Every 6 weeks, she rethemed her store and allowed basically retailers and enterprise technology companies such as Microsoft to come in and thematically look at her store. Store closures, unfortunately, continue to exceed openings. But maybe this isn't all bad, as we also are seeing unexpected entrants into our malls. Fitness companies, universities, even gymnastics. However, retail bankruptcies continue. Much of this is companies who are funded on the private equity side. And Amazon continues to outpace retail and US e-commerce. But as anyone who's spent time with them, and who continues to spend time with them, they have this very interesting two-pizza rule. So their management teams continue to build out. Once a team gets bigger, then they can share 2 pizzas. So this continues to drive very interesting, if you will, innovation and inspiration inside the company. Hence, what we continue to see on this slide. And we're also seeing the grocery delivery wars escalating. As Chris alluded to with Hema, we're seeing it on a global scale. I very much focus here in the US, but I believe that whoever wins this really wins the pipe into the home. The average consumer goes to the grocery store 2.2 times per week and spends 45 minutes per visit. That's a consumer that I would like any day of the week. Retail private label continues to grow, and this really captures the heart, minds, and souls of the consumer. And what I love here is this idea of a mashup. We're seeing unexpected visitors come into retail. Who would have thought that Kohl's, whose biggest competitor is Amazon, they would have invited them into their stores? Best Buy did the same thing, and they've also partnered with Aldi, who's a German retailer who focuses on a very different customer than their own. Kohl's average household income is about $65,000 US. Aldi is about $40,000. But what they wanted was the grocery traffic, and traffic they have, they're starting to see much higher comps than they did a year ago. So a few of the trends: virtual reality, augmented reality, artificial intelligence. We've built out the core framework for AI in retail, which retailers are adopting. We've seen VC funding for AI exploding. It was up 240% in 2017. Why? Because this is your future. Customization, personalization, and localization is going to win the hearts and minds of the consumer. And the US is now looking to China to be that inspiration in artificial intelligence. AI helped Alibaba and JD achieve record sales on Singles' Day. But what's even more impressive to me is this next slide. We all see so much advertising and everyone talking about Black Friday. Well, Black Friday is a mere $5 billion. And when we look at both Alibaba's Singles' Day and JD, $44.4 billion. Black Friday is just a mere drop in the bucket. So AI offers personalization and higher conversion rates. This is honestly my favorite slide in the whole deck, and hopefully I'll be spared an additional 1 second to talk about it. So I paint when I want to relax. Amazon offers me more paintbrushes. Oh, that's so difficult. Alibaba offers experiences over things and offers me paint classes. With that, I'll turn it back over.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we're into the debate. Chris has made the case for a new kind of store. Deborah has made the case for the most unique and compelling online retail experience you can possibly have. They now have the opportunity to ask each other one question, and then we're going to have comments from you in the room, either for or against the motion, or questions to the speakers. You have to be ready very quickly to do that. Chris, what is your one question to Deborah?
With VR and AR, or AR first, then VR, your proposition is that we don't need stores. So where are your art classes and painting classes going to be held?
So I actually think we have this tremendous future of online, and I think it's just retail. So we have online and offline merging together. And I think Macy's did this the best with VR. So actually, Terry Lundgren, who was then CEO, walked through the stores, and at 3 a.m. in China, so 3 p.m. in New York, he walked through the store and actually drove $300 million in sales as a Chinese consumer walked through the store with him and shopped on Buy Plus. So I think you need the two together, but a great explanation in terms of working with the consumer.
But you're saying that the store is a place where you view the goods, but you buy online.
Absolutely.
Okay, what's your one question for Chris, Deborah?
Chris, in this day and age, how do we find the right talent for the retailer?
The right talent, actually, with technology, you can actually reduce the amount of staff you have, but get better quality staff, so you can pay them better. That's number one. I think, secondly, as with what I talked about in terms of clienting, actually technology and data analysis and AI is there as a tool to empower the staff to serve customers better. At the end of the day, the customer needs an experience when they come into your physical store.
Can I ask a follow-up?
Yeah.
You can ask a follow-up, yeah?
What about senior leadership, though, the C-suite?
Sorry?
The C-suite, CEO.
Oh, okay. Creative. Need creative types, but be able to get execution done.
Thank you.
Okay, you have a follow-up question for Deborah, Chris?
No, I don't.
Okay, you have a chance to ask each other one more question perhaps in a minute. We'd like to take 4 or 5 points from the room. Get your hands up. Karen, you're first. We've spotted you. Hands up. You can either make a contribution or ask a question. What's yours, Karen?
Why invest in retail? Institutions are divesting from retail.
Chris, why invest in retail?
Because actually retail gives a core real estate return, okay? If a retail mall or a life hub, we like to call them life hubs, actually is sticky within its catchment and actually dominates that catchment, it will perform in the long term better than, let's say, an office core real estate product.
So the right format and the right location is still a winner in your book. Okay.
In the right catchment.
In the right catchment. Okay. Who else is coming in?
Hi. What would be your best advice for how to convert existing brick and mortar department stores into something that would be future proof?
Deborah.
So I think that's a great question. So Mark Mastronardi, who's basically the head of business development at Macy's, so obviously who worked closely with the C-suite to make the decision to acquire Story. So what they've done is they're working with many unique companies in terms of Samsung, and they're also working with Beta. They've started to think, they said that in the last, let's call it 8 weeks, they've looked at 100 different potential startups to bring into their stores. And so they're looking at not only thinking differently about their physical real estate, but also their online real estate. So they're all about partnership and collaboration, and I think just breaking through the glass, if you will, because I do agree, if that's all right. I do agree with Chris. I think that physical stores, and especially flagships, matter, because I think they drive brand name recognition, and I also think that they drive traffic to the physical store and online.
Okay, so stores as brand platforms really matter. Okay, Chris?
I think to repurpose old department stores, design, coming from a developer background, design is very important. The positioning of the store, the size, and really, again, it's like looking at a new development, right? What is the catchment, and what have you got to make you dominant within that catchment?
So,
Yeah, I suppose this is really for Deborah. You've talked a lot about Amazon dominating the US, Alibaba dominating China and setting up delivery systems, but what about other markets in the world? How does it work cross-border? I mean, traditionally, the success of retail was that you could go to somewhere local and buy something. Obviously, with your model, you've somehow got to get it to a market if it's not the one, you know, where you've got the infrastructure. So how does that work going forward?
You're suggesting the other 65% of the world also matters?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
So actually, cross-borders are one of our areas of expertise. One of my associates is actually at the Zalando Analyst Day as we speak. And so what we're seeing is some very interesting ideas where not only can you sell online, but you can also sell in a physical store, and that drives brand name recognition for those retailers. So I do think that a physical presence, especially when you're talking about private label, is very important as you're building out a brand. So let's say you're a large grocer entering a new market and you have an organic product that's very important for that market. Having that product in a physical box and also selling it online is very important. From a cross-border perspective, logistics is very important, right? Because the consumer now, their expectations are same-day delivery and in some cases 30-minute delivery. So I do think that the expectations of the consumer is here, sometimes the ability is here. So that's where I think working more closely with some of these platforms is also very important. And if I might add one other thing, which you didn't necessarily ask, what we're starting to see is these, if you will, platforms starting to come together. So where department stores and eateries and maybe a grocer and a drugstore are all starting to work together to deliver best-in-class service to the consumer, those who we never would have thought would have worked together, and that's, I think, what we're starting to see in terms of the consumer's expectations being exceeded, but I do think that we're in the early stages of some of that, and by early stages, I think we're in early 2018, and that might be real for holiday 2018.
Deborah, you're making a very strong case for the future of stores. That's good. Chris?
If I can jump in, David. Actually, what I see in China is that because of the sophistication and the maturity of the technology platforms and the e-commerce platforms, actually, China is very much leading the way, right? You know, in most stores in the US, Apple Pay is still not common, right? Whereas Alipay and WeChat Pay is very, very common, right? Besides having the payment system, you have all of the other platforms, right? Where hotel, you know, anything you want, anything you want in life, basically, is on that platform. That actually is very helpful for us, right, with a physical platform.
So the platform helps to create the sense of place. We have room for one more contribution from the floor if somebody is quick.
Now that we have the massive rise of the fast fashion, you have department stores struggling to keep up, and then on the other hand, you see this Macy's Stores activity, which is just unprecedented in my head. Where's middle fashion going? Will it continue to exist? And how do independents continue to thrive and grow?
And does it have a physical location or only online, I guess is the question. Yes. Chris, you're first. Deborah, you're second. Quick answers, please.
Of course they have a physical location. I give you an example. Uniqlo in all of our life hubs actually has a Super Tuesday, right? And basically that's for the office workers within our project, right? If you buy 400 renminbi, you get 400 for free, right? Things like that. That can only happen in certain locations at certain times, right? With a certain customer. Great. So yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Deborah?
I think that is an excellent question. So for those of you who don't know, Shopify, where they're much stronger than the rest of the world, they have 600,000 stores on their platform right now. Many of them are doing over $1 billion in sales. So for example, a company that probably most of you have never heard of called Fashion Nova, $1 billion retailer. Many of these are going after consumers who are underserved, plus-size fashion, inclusive fashion, alternative design. And so this is a way for the consumer to find also communities, right? Which we talk about, right? I think in retail, that's what's been so important. So I think there's almost an opportunity for landlords to talk about, you know, through a platform, what community do you serve? Because I do think, much to what Chris said, people want to spend time with each other. And so if you can let the consumer know what community you're serving in your malls, especially from a localization standpoint, the consumer will come. But what we are seeing is Shopify is, right, and they offer free accountancy, free legal, all kinds of other things in their community. So for right now, what we're seeing is that community is growing exponentially, and that's where we're seeing a lot of stores, especially in that middle fashion perspective.
Great, thank you very much. So, ladies and gents, the motion is the future of retail is stores that aren't stores. Speakers now, please summarize your arguments, starting with you, Chris.
Stores will still remain, but it depends on three things. The first one, the ability of landlords and operators to be able to reduce friction or pain points through technology or other means for consumers, making the consumers more sticky. Two, retailers and operators to be able to integrate their platforms, have data analysis, and be able to serve their customer much, much better. Both, whether that purchase motive comes initially from online or offline, or ending up offline or online, or vice versa. Number three, landlords, such as ourselves, and that's why actually we call our projects not retail malls. We call them life hubs, the center of life, right? Landlords being able to curate and program destinations for discovery, for experimentation, for entertainment, and experience for the customer. If we do those three things, the stores are going to be there.
Thank you very much indeed. Deborah, please summarize your arguments.
So I just left Recon a few weeks ago, and many, if not all, of the top landlords believe by the year 2025 that 50% of sales will be online. And in that situation, they're trying to think how they might utilize their stores differently, utilize their partnerships with their retailers. So how can the consumer shop the mall? How can they have a lifestyle experience? How is artificial intelligence and virtual reality and augmented reality part of that experience? How can they serve the tourist in a different way than they have previously? So that, I think, is at least in their minds. And I will tell you, 50% could be conservative. Secondly, artificial intelligence, customization, personalization, and localization, that's where everyone should be investing, because everyone wants to feel special. And lastly, this idea of community, I can't tell you how important it is, because that's how you're going to win the heart, minds, and souls of the consumer. And within that, partnership and collaboration. Partner with your stores, collaborate with your consumers, and you will win.
Great, thank you very much indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, before we put this to the vote, please join me in thanking Chris and Deborah. Now, because this is ULI, you get a vote on this question, so can we see the next question, please? So, the future of retail is stores that aren't stores. Do you agree or do you disagree? Please vote now. Okay, 72.5% of you agree. 27.5% of you disagree. That's been a fantastic debate. Please join me again in thanking Deborah and Chris. Thank you both very much indeed.